I'm Roisin Stimpson. I'm co-director in Speakeasy Entertainment, which owns Nightjars, did own Oriole and will be reinvented soon, and Swift Bars.
I'm Edmund Weil. I'm also a partner in Speakeasy Entertainment and Swift Bar Limited, and we operate currently 5 bars across London.
So Edmund and I met at university in Dublin. I'm an amateur singer and took him to one of these events. She was singing music from the Weimar Republic, sort of jazz, early jazz. We loved it and we were like, wouldn't it be amazing if to see this, but in the setting which it was born in. We sort of both went off and got normal jobs after university and sort of got bored of that after about 2 years. We decided to do the bar idea. We've been doing it now for 12 and a half years.
And this was just around the time in sort of 2008, 2009, when real interest in cocktail history was taking off massively. I think we both very inspired by kind of like the dream of how bars were in the 20s and 30s and 40s. The idea of juxtaposing like a really authentic but interesting sort of set of cocktails based on, you know, the history of drinks with this old school music was something that really captured our imagination. If any seasoned bar operator had looked at the way we were doing things in like 2010, 2011, they would have told us we were complete idiots. Our benchmarks in terms of gross profit and stuff like that were not in the right place that we look at now.
So if you think about the structure of the menu, it kind of ballooned to sort of 52 drinks at one point, didn't it? And those were very early lessons in how to manage a business. Yeah. But we've managed to streamline it over time without sort of losing the experience of it, but making it more of a manageable beast, as it were.
Certainly at the beginning, I think a lot of people who came to work at our bars were like, look, I want to work with this inspirational person and I will walk through hell and high water to please them. I think the problem with that is then people work 60, 70-hour weeks. Over more recent years, I think, you know, as we moved away from the sort of like star tender model of like, you know, having big names in charge of the bars to be more focused on like staff welfare, but also more focused on like the guest experience as a whole.
As time goes on, you move from that kind of, you know, just follow the one person to having to put into place sort of traditions and codes of how to behave and how things are done. And it's exciting and it's full on and it's, you know, all hours at the beginning. But now I think people are very aware that this is not a way to live and that actually professionalism is about managing what you need to do in a reasonable amount of hours and also having a life outside. Yeah. People understand that this is how to live, you know, how we need to live anyway as you know, human beings. You can't work at that level and, you know, live a long and happy life.
Staff retention and like keeping hold of good people for as long as possible is like one of the most important things you can do when running a bar business.
The beauty of being a director or having a business is that you get to hire people who are better at things than you are and achieve more things as a team. That's one of the great skills, is sort of bringing those people on board.
You know, it took a long while to like get busy enough to make it a viable business. You know, Friday, Saturday, Thursdays were okay, but like, you know, as any bar owner knows, like you live and die on those quieter nights. The first 5 years, you know, Roisin and I basically did everything all the time. By the time we opened Oriole, we did do a few shifts on the floor. And I think after a while, they were like, you know what, Edmund and Rosie, we got this. Stop getting in the way. Going from 1 to 2 bars is a baptism of fire. By opening another bar and like putting more on your plate, if you like, you're actually able to stop being that one-man firewall, you know, because all of a sudden you're kind of forced to give people more responsibility and to let things run themselves a little bit more.
But you need to understand what you know, how to read a P&L and how to bookkeep properly and, you know, what marketing is going to help you the most and how, and, you know, employment law. All of those things help. We didn't have any of that, and we've been fine. For years, we couldn't really rely on our P&Ls wholly.
You don't know whether they're being allocated.
Is this because, if we look at it over
garnish
a quarter...
costs go to food expenses and vice versa. And 9 times out of 10 with one bar, you need to have an external bookkeeper. Don't be scared to fire a bad bookkeeper very, very quickly and find someone new. If your bookkeeping is a month behind, then your account's going to be 2 months behind. And then if there's stuff that's going wrong, you're not really able to see it and act on it in time.
This may sound really boring, but these are the things that we just, bring us joy nowadays, when the structures and the systems and the foundations are rock solid and we know we can rely on them.
I would say the biggest barrier to a bartender opening a bar, unfortunately, it's money. And more so, because I think even if you 100% bootstrap, and do all of the demo and building yourself, there are just so many hidden expenses involved. We were lucky in that, I had inheritance from my grandfather. And it's a big decision to put that money towards something as risky and ephemeral as running a bar. But we had that privilege and we were able to put it to good use in the end. I don't quite know how we would have sourced the funding were it not for that. What I will say though is that we have actually, for pretty much every other enterprise we've done, so Oriole or Swift, we actually have sought investment externally. I think that there's a real benefit to having investors involved because it forces you to be more accountable about everything that you're doing. And so those investors are putting a lot of faith in you, and I think it's good to have sometimes that external impetus.
It takes about a year for word of mouth to build up, I think, for any bar, no matter where you are, and you've got to have kind of an iron nerve, essentially, and some money in the bank.
And more money than you think you need as well. A lot more money than you think you need.
I think also when you're starting things, lots of people will tell you it's a bad idea, and I think you have to do some strong ignoring because, I think you need a lot of self-belief.
As part of hospitality, you are putting yourself out there. The very best people in hospitality are people with empathetic personalities, people who really get joy and fulfillment out of making people feel special and making people feel great. An important part of that mission is understanding that you can't do it with everyone. And I think, maybe part of the reason for the fact we've been around for a long time is that even though it's nice, being famous and being in the 50 best and all this kind of stuff is far down our list of priorities. And also, although obviously we have to be able to make a living, being really profitable and making loads of money is not high on our list of priorities. I think probably the most important thing is the people in our business. And then also, I think over the years for us, our own lifestyle and work-life balance, especially after having kids and stuff like that. What's the point in doing this if it doesn't make you happy?
The idea that people will be coming to work and not enjoying themselves, I think, is really, for me, kind of mark of failure. It's really important that people who work here are happy and the people that are, coming to enjoy it are enjoying it. Those are two very clear marks of success for me. It's a great business for if you want to have kids as well, because we've been able to manage business life and parent life. So we've been able to have the flexibility to decide to go home and pick them up and put them to bed and things like that. I also think it's really important to do business in a kind and giving way. I think that all these benefits in kind do get paid back. We have benefited hugely from people's free advice and help, and I think that those things should be free and they shouldn't always be monetized. The more people do it for each other, the stronger the industry becomes.
That's how we feel our future is to support other people. We've got really deep knowledge about opening bars. We've made basically every mistake there is to make. Although that's say, every time we think we have, then we find new ones. I suppose you could call it bar wisdom. And while 90% of people could make a drink faster than me in this industry, I'd like to think that we've got quite unique knowledge in that respect. I think that's the other priority, is to show people a good time. I mean, doesn't get into hospitality to show people a good time. Being in your bar and seeing people having the time of their lives and, you know, having unique experiences and like, there are certain moments when you own a bar where you're there and you're sitting at the bar and every so often you think, this is better than I ever could have pictured it.